What's up, guys? Welcome back to our Endgame course. In this lesson, we're talking about bishops, knights, and rook pawns. Okay, so when I say rook pawns, I'm talking about pawns that are either on the A file or the H file. And what's interesting about these pawns is that they give the defending side better chances to get a draw, because stalemates in chess are considered a tie, a draw game. It's not the same as a checkmate. So because of that, there are all these tricks that you have to worry about if you're trying to win. So this position is a great example. If you've never seen this before, and what I'm about to tell you is probably going to blow your mind, but this position is a draw. White cannot win this position. The pawn is going forward. You can't win. You say, Nelson, what are you talking about? You have a bishop, you have a pawn, your king is in a good position. How can you not win? It has to do with the fact that you can never force this king out of the corner. For example, if I move my bishop here, it's a stalemate. Look at this. He has no moves. Sorry, my king is stopping these. The bishop's stopping. He can't move his king. That's a stalemate. That's a draw. You say, okay, well, I won't go there. I'll just waste a move. And now he has to move. Okay, so what? What do you do now? Put him in check? He goes back in the corner. And you have the same problem. It's going to be a stalemate unless you give him some place to move. Let's say you move your king. Okay, he moves here. You go check. He goes back in the corner. How do you get him out of the corner? The answer is you can't. There's nothing that you can do. The best thing that you could do would be to like push your pawn. He goes here, but again, he's just going to go back next move. There's nothing that you can do. Okay, this is a well-known draw. I don't know how well-known it is, but it's a draw, and this is something you want to remember. It has to do with the fact that the bishop cannot control the queening square. Okay, so please make a mental note. This is very, very important. Now, this position is almost identical, except I've moved the bishop one square. Does that make a difference? That's a super easy question. Hopefully you got the answer correct. Yes, that makes all the difference in the world, because now I can simply go check, control the queening square. He's forced away. Now I can push my pawn. He can't go there. There's no stalemate. He has to leave. I get a queen and I win the game easily, right? That's what matters. Is the bishop controlling the queening square or not? Okay? That's how you can tell if it's a win or a draw. Now, this position, I would like you to pause and think through. Is this a win or is this a draw for white? Well, if you had a chance to think through that, even though the bishop can't control the queening square, it's not a rook pawn, okay? And any other pawn besides the rook pawns, it's always going to be a win if you have this kind of material advantage. It's only the rook pawns, right? The A and the H pawns that you might have a problem with, okay? So this is absolutely a win. The easiest thing would be to push it. He has to move. You come up. And even if you ever needed to waste some time, you could move your bishop. Like, let's just say it was this position, it's your turn. Just move your bishop, waste some time, force him to leave, come up, get the queen next move, and you win, okay? Actually, I say that, you do have to be careful. This position is a stalemate. So let me just back that up. When you move your bishop, you would want to move it away so that you don't actually stalemate him. So you want to create this position. Let me not... You still have to be a little careful, but it is a win if you don't mess up like I just did, okay? So, rook pawns, make sure your bishop is lined up with the queening square, otherwise you're at risk of it being a draw. Now, some of you might be wondering, Nelson, that's great, but how does that help me in my regular games? Well, I'm glad you asked. Let's take a look at this position. So here we go. White is pushing the pawns down the board like this. We have both players have a bishop. What do you do? Well, if you said g4, you were not really paying attention, or maybe you just didn't realize that this was applied here, but as soon as you play g4, you just threw the game away. No longer a win, because black says, thank you very much. Look what we have here. The bishop is the wrong color. The king is going to stay in the corner for the rest of the game. There's nothing that you can do. So you have to make sure, as you're playing an endgame and you're getting closer and closer to the end, that you avoid these types of situations, okay? And actually, I'm going to finish this example. I want to show you a game that I played recently where this exact trick came up, right? And we'll look at an advanced example of that in just a second. But first, how do you win this position? Obviously, you can't play g4. He just sacrifices. So there's a couple of ways you could win, but the easiest thing is first, get your king into a really good position. So you attack the bishop. He's going to move. He wants to keep it lined up here because he wants to sacrifice, right? King f6. So we've positioned our king. Very nice active square. Very good. He's just waiting. What else can he do? And now the key move, bishop to f5. You force that bishop off of the diagonal so that you can push your pawn and make progress in the position. So he moves, and now we push. He goes here. And by the way, if he for some reason were to blunder his bishop, what should you do? Well, I hope you didn't say take the bishop, because this, guess what, is going to be a stalemate. It's the same thing. Even though you have an extra pawn, it doesn't matter. You can't get him out of the corner. And that would be awful, right? So if he goes here, you just push. You just push. Because remember, you don't want to take it. You also don't want to let him sacrifice, or it's also a draw. So you just push, okay? But very tricky move. Hopefully you didn't fall for that. All right, let's go. King G8. We push our pawn. He goes back. And what do you think the move is here? Well, there's actually a couple of ways that you could win. Bishop G4, just pushing this pawn all the way down is what Silman says in the book. You could probably also go Bishop G6 immediately to get the bishop away, but this one works very nice. You get this pawn positioned on H6, so now you've advanced your pieces as far as you can. Remember, we are not pushing this pawn right now because of the sacrifice. So what do? Check. And when the king moves away, we force the bishop off of that diagonal. By forcing it away, it gives us the opportunity to push, and we're going to get a queen. And if you're wondering if the king would have went this way to stop us from going there, no problem at all. We play H7, and you can't stop the queen next move. Okay? So that's how you win. Just have to make sure that they can't sacrifice his bishop for this pawn. That's the only thing to be cautious of. Now, I want to show you a game that I actually played recently where this exact endgame came up, and it surprised me. And actually, I wasn't really paying attention like I should have been. Let me show you the game. All right, guys. So this was an actual game I played live. Some of you may have been watching the stream when I played this. I was black. My pawns are going forward. You can see I have a lot of extra pawns. I have 4 pawns against 2 pawns. My king is in a good position. His bishop is amazing. His king is stuck guarding this pawn. It's totally winning. And I pushed my pawn. He pushes his pawn. Okay, he brings his knight. I push. I come in. I take this. And he sets a trap right here. The trap is this. If I take his knight, the position is a stalemate. Look at this. His king cannot move. Sorry. His king cannot move, and he's not in check. This is a stalemate. It's a draw. So I have to avoid this, right? So I was like, oh, that's interesting, but I noticed it. I won't take the knight. I'll just do something else. He sacrifices. Why did he sacrifice? And this was my huge mistake, pushing this pawn. Why did he sacrifice? It's because he's thinking ahead about the fact that this pawn and this bishop will be a draw if he gets that endgame. Look at this. It's a flank pawn, the outside pass rook pawn. It's a bishop that does not cover the queening square. So by sacrificing here, if he is able to take both of these pawns, which he is, because I have no way to defend this one now, guess what? It's a draw. It's a draw. And he was paying attention. He knew that endgame, and he saw this opportunity, and he took it, right? So this stuff happens in real games, right? So what should I have done? My big mistake was pushing this pawn. As long as I keep this guy alive, he's just going to run out of options very soon. So, for example, just moving my bishop, taking the pawn even would be fine over here, just not giving him the option to sacrifice his knight, right? And eventually I would be able to win relatively easily. So that was my big mistake. But I just wanted to show you it happens in real games. That's why these endgames are very, very important. Okay, so we've talked about the bishops with the rook pawns a little bit. Now let's talk about the knight. So I want to ask you guys a question before I say anything. Do you think this position will be a win or a draw? All right, if you had a chance to think about that. So most people assume that the knight is going to be a win because the knight can cover every square on the board. You're not going to have the problem of the knight can't control the queening square like you would have with the bishop. However, this position is still a draw, and it's because the pawn is advanced all the way to the 7th rank. You might say, why is that a bad thing? I thought you want your pawns to be advanced, right? The problem, again, is black is going to sit in the corner, and you actually can't get him out, even though your knight can control that square, because if your knight ever moves like this, it takes your pawn. You can't win with just a knight and a king, right? You say, but Nelson, I'm going to defend the pawn with my king first, then I'm going to move my knight there, right? Well, you could try, but how are you going to get there? Because if you go here, guess what? That's a stalemate. You can't move. You don't have time to get your knight there. Say, well, I'll just, loop around or something. Okay, go ahead. Again, how do you protect your pawn? You can't. You have to leave the knight protecting it if you ever move, like I said, and if you ever come up as a stalemate. It's because the pawn is a rook pawn and it's on the 7th rank. Okay? That's why. So let me show you a different position. Here we go. Almost the same thing. He goes here, attacking your pawn. You defend it. It's almost identical, except it's on the 6th rank. We have not advanced it all the way to the 7th rank. Watch what happens now. King g6. We bring our king over. He goes back. Bring our king over. He goes back. Bring our king over. He goes back. We bring our king up. It's not a stalemate because he can go here. That's great. Now we can position our king, defending our pawn. So we've defended the pawn with our king. It's not a stalemate. Now we can safely move our knight, and we're going to be able to win the game. So he goes here. What do? I hope that you guys didn't say h7 check. I really hope that you didn't say that, because if you said that, guess what? Now it's a draw. He goes back in the corner. This is what we don't want, right? It's going to be a stalemate unless we move our king away. Then he just takes our pawn. We try to defend. It's just a stalemate. So you have to really be careful. It's so easy to throw these wins away and turn them into draws, right? So what do? You just move your knight. Let's just say knight e5. We want to get to f7, but we don't want to push it until the right moment. You only push that pawn at the right time. He goes in the corner. Bam. We check. Now we push. It's a check, not a stalemate. We've got the corner control. He can't go there. We simply get a queen and we're going to checkmate soon. Okay? So, very, very important. Just to recap, the flank pawns on the 7th rank, even with a knight, are a draw. Okay? And it's important that it's a flank pawn. I want to show you this example. If I move it to the middle, this is a win now for white. It's not a draw anymore because there's no stalemate problems. So, for example, you can just invade with your king, defend it, no big deal, because in the corner, this would be a stalemate. But here, it's not. He has a square. You come up, you get a queen, you win. Okay? So, very, very important. The flank pawns. If it's a bishop of opposite, if it's a bishop that does not control the queening square, it's a draw. If the bishop does control the queening square, it's a win. And then if it's a knight, you don't want to advance it to the 7th rank. Okay? That's the key takeaway. All right. The next position I have for you features what are called opposite colored bishops. Now, I don't mean this is a white bishop, this is a black bishop. I mean this is a bishop on white squares, and this is a bishop on black squares. Okay, that's what we mean when we say opposite colored bishops. Okay? Why is this important? Early in the game, or maybe in like the middle game, it's generally good for the attacking side to have this, because it means if your bishop's attacking, the other bishop can't stop you. It's on the wrong color. It just can't do anything about what your bishop is. So if you pair your bishop with your queen, it's easy to get checkmate sometimes, something like that. Or a bishop and a rook can be powerful. But at the end of the game, it switches to, instead of like being good for the attacker, it's like, well, now it's just probably a draw. The game's just probably a draw. And the reason is because of something like this. Even though white has the extra pawn, their king is in a great position, supporting their pawn. That's awesome. Black's king is as far away as it could possibly be. It doesn't matter, because the bishop at any moment is going to just sacrifice itself. And this is a draw. You can't checkmate with just the bishop. And there's nothing that you can do because your bishop's on the wrong color. It's basically a useless piece. The bishop is not valuable at all. And yeah, you can run and chase this bishop if you want. Black's like, I don't really care. I'll just come over here. And you want to chase me again? Okay, sure, whatever. I'll just come back. You want to keep chasing me? Like, okay. Eventually, you're going to have to push the pawn, and then he takes it, and it's a draw. Or you can move 50 times, and it's also a draw without it. So, opposite color bishops usually are a draw. Now, I have a follow-up question for you. Here's a position. Does the fact that we have the extra pawns on the board change anything? I want you guys to pause, think about it before I tell you the answer. Is this position still a draw, or does white have winning chances? Okay, if you had a chance to think through that, the answer is it's still a draw. Okay, and if you look carefully, you'll notice black has this very nice blockade where everything is protected. There's no weaknesses. There's no way that we're going to be able to just win a pawn, right? It's not like we can somehow capture a pawn, right? Nope. So it's going to be a draw, because whenever we push, it's just going to result in a trade that's going to lead to a position kind of like the one that we saw over here. Okay, so as an example, f4, black just moves back and forth. Okay, we push, which we're trying to support f6, right? They take, we take, they go back, If we push now, they simply take, we take, they sacrifice. Easy draw. Now, there's one trick that we can try, king to h7. And black has to be a little bit careful here. There could be some ways that they could lose if they're not paying attention. So for example, they go here, we push, they capture, aha, we sneak by. We're going to get a queen. We're going to win the game, right? No, we don't actually have time. They simply play f5, unleashing their bishop. And again, even though we can take this, it doesn't matter. We have the same kind of situation that we saw before. Whenever we push this, they will simply take us. There's nothing we can do about it. Okay, so again, even with extra pawns on the board, it's still a draw unless black makes some huge blunder, right? Okay, one final position for you here. Before I say anything, is this still a draw or does white have winning chances? All right, you got a chance to look at that. So you'll notice I moved the pawn away, so it's already a passed pawn. The problem for us, and this is what you should have noticed right away, is the king. The king is on a dark square. Remember, our bishop can never control the dark squares. It only can control the light squares. So we can get all around it, but we can never make the king move. And if we can never make the king move, we can never push our pawn. And the fact that there are some pawns over here mean nothing because black has got this rock solid. Best case, we go here, he takes. And at some point we push, he takes. Like this. It's a draw. Okay, there's just no way to make the king move. So, opposite colored bishops are very drawish. A strategy you can use if you're playing in the middle game and you feel like you're losing. If you have an opportunity to trade a particular piece, like maybe you trade your knight for one of their bishops, or you trade one of your bishops for one of their knights or something, and it results in an endgame where the bishops are on opposite colors, even if you're down some pawns, a lot of times you can still save the game and get a draw. And so that's just something to kind of keep in the back of your mind as you head into the endgame. Okay, I hope this helped you guys. I'll see you in the next lesson where we're going to talk about rooks, and rooks can be very tricky in the endgame, so make sure you come back for that one. I'll see you guys next time. As always, stay sharp, play smart, and take care.